Hello and welcome to the Tempo Storm Deck Spotlight series. It's been over a week since the rise of the mech buffs, and with these changes, we've also seen the rise of Burn Overload Shaman. It's been quite a while since the Burn Shaman archetype has seen competitive play, but it seems like it's returned and currently well situated due to the changes and current favorable matchups on ladder. Aggro Shaman ranks around high tier 2 to tier 1. Due to being very aggressive, the deck preys on classes such as Rogue and Mage and also does very well against other aggro decks by maintaining board control with Thunderhead in its 1/1 sparks, and can also take out popular mech decks when teched correctly. The list has a lot of tools in its arsenal, and that makes it a great choice to climb the ladder. Before we take a look at the deck's game plan, make sure to subscribe to the channel to keep up with the rest of our Hearthstone content. Now, let's begin. Burn Shaman is an archetype that utilizes its early cards aggressively to put on pressure and eventually close the games out with burn spells and Doomhammer. Early game cards you're going to be looking for in most matchups are Zap, Sludge Slurper, Underbelly Angler, Lickem, Spirit of the Frog, Unbound Elemental, and Thunderhead. Depending on the matchup, Sludge Slurper is usually fine to play on turn 1, followed up by the Lackey on turn 2. Other turn 2 plays are going to be equipping Lickem or playing Underbelly Angler. Underbelly Angler has proven to be a valuable inclusion in the deck, whether you choose to play it early and bait removal spells, or play it as a refill tool mid to late game with a Sludge Slurper or second Angler. Look for a Spirit of the Frog or Unbound Elemental on turn 3. Spirit of the Frog is your only source of draw and is key in making sure you can cycle through your spells and find more damage. You generally want to follow it up with an Earth and Might buff to keep it on board, or Thunderhead and Zap and even use your coin if you have it. Thunderhead is a key early card that's going to be your main board control tool. With the recent health buff, it's become a lot harder to deal with. Coupling Thunderhead with overload spells such as Zap, Voltaic Burst, and Lightning Bolt will summon multiple 1/1 spark tokens, which pulls insane value from only a few resources. When possible, try to keep your Thunderheads and Unbound Elementals safe with Earth and Might buffs or protect them with Feral Spirit. They are your heavy hitter minions that allow you to push through to the mid-game where you begin to close out the match with direct damage. Your main finishers with this deck are usually going to be Electra Storm Surge coupled with Lava Burst or Lightning Bolt, and Doomhammer with at least a Rockbiter weapon. There aren't a lot of decks on ladder besides Warrior that are running weapon removal, so you can typically equip Doomhammer as soon as possible to start dishing out damage without being punished. Although these are the ideal circumstances for ending the matchups, sometimes you may use your burn tools in order to help fight for board control if you happen to fall behind. An important thing to keep in mind is that you always want to be setting up lethal a few turns ahead. Manage your resources appropriately and think about how many spells you can expend on the board versus pushing damage to face. The great aspect about Burn Shaman in the current meta is that it has quite favored matchups across the board. Its best matchups are against mid-range hunters, mages, and rogues, and only noticeably struggles against warriors and control shamans. Versus most of the token aggro lists such as Murloc Shaman, Druid, and Zoo, Burn Shaman usually shines due to the aid of Thunderhead in being able to stave off the pressure quite easily with overload spells and the resulting 1/1 sparks. As seen on HS Replay, this deck can occasionally struggle against the popular mech decks if you don't find your Earth Shock. However, if you're having trouble against these decks, it's recommended to tech in a second copy of Earthshock and a Zentimo, both of which should significantly increase your win rate against these lists. As mentioned earlier, this deck struggles very heavily against warriors and control shamans, who have many removal tools to stop you in your tracks and mitigate damage. Warriors have Weapons Project and Harrison Jones as weapon removal for your Doomhammer, which is an essential part of your overall damage. Control Shamans have Hagatha's Scheme to clean the board, and Heals, which help them stall the game and run you out of resources. If you're running into a lot of these matchups, you can consider adding in Kragwa the Frog, Swamp Queen Hagatha, and Hagatha the Witch to help dig for more value. Overall, Burn Shaman holds solid ground in the current ladder meta, and it's likely here to stay for the time being. We're interested to see how this archetype further develops and holds up against the other popular lists. Which decks have you been climbing the ladder to legend with? Let us know in the comment section below and tell us what else you'd like to see featured in the next Deck Spotlight series. Also, be sure to hit that thumbs up if you liked the video and subscribe to the channel in order to keep up with the rest of our Hearthstone video content. Thanks for watching, and until next time!